Hello, welcome to Digital Drawing Academy, our first episode. In this episode we're going to look at how to divide a cube into segments in perspective. And in this case we're using 2-point perspective. Right now we're just drawing our cube in 2-point perspective using SketchUp. And you can see that the two dots represent the vanishing points. So the vanishing points are where the lines from the left and right side are trailing towards, and the vertical segments are part of 2-point perspective, just represent the vertical walls. Right here we're just coloring the cube to highlight the sides a little more, and then we're going to go in and delete some of our construction lines that were a little out of place. It's not a perfect cube, but it'll get the point of what we're trying to do here. We're trying to show that when you're drawing in perspective, it can be a little deceptive to find out where your midpoints are on your faces. So using this technique you'll generate nice division segments that you can use for construction or to further your sketch. So right now we're just going to go in and add in the back sections. These are the invisible segments of the cube. So this is going to be the top, and once again those lines trail to those vanishing points. In SketchUp it's really easy, and it's a big advantage of doing this digitally. You don't have to use a ruler, or I've done it with strings in the past where you're trailing off and then you get a lot of messy construction lines. In this video we're also making use of the layers to control sort of what we see, and you can see in this case we've got layer 1 where we did the initial coloring in of the sides, and then we use the opacity filter to hide that out, so it makes it a little easier to see what's going on in the back layer now, and we're going to color that in too. In this tutorial we're drawing with very thick, heavy lines. That might be the style you're going for, but maybe not typically in a perspective sketch. But for drawing like this is just to really be clear about what we're trying to do and get the principles down. Now we're going in and doing the bottom the same way we did the top, just tracing over the lines from the first layer just to give us a fill area that we can drop in our color. Of course, if this were a totally opaque surface, we wouldn't see the inside, but we're just doing this for instructive purposes here. Okay, so why do we want to divide up a surface? When we get further along into other tutorials, we're going to show grids that are more developed, and when you're doing things that are symmetrical, you want to define your midpoints of your faces so you can translate or mirror features from one side to the other of your drawing, and to maintain that perspective, realistic appearance that's important for generating a clear design or just a realistic artwork that you want to create. So in this case we've taken that one side and drawn in using the ruler tool of Sketchbook connection points between the corners of the cube, and then in that midpoint we're going to go back to the perspective tool and draw the vertical segments in. Once again we're using thick lines here. You probably don't want to do that too much in a drawing, but we're just getting the concept down. So now we've got where those surfaces line up to the edges, we've got definable midpoints, and in fact 4 sub-segments of that face that, if they were viewed face on or in a 2D view, would all be the same size. And then we're going to do the same thing to the other side. So we're using that ruler tool to go over to the other corner and make our X on that surface. And with the control handles in Sketchbook, it's nice because you don't have to position the ruler all at once. You can, if you're just changing one point, it's easy to drag it over. And then we'll put in that other segment. All right. Now you can see we've got that cube in perspective format subdivided now in two faces. And these are just the verticals that show the midpoint. Now if you were to put a measuring instrument or a ruler across your surface of your page, if this were a flat page, those sides wouldn't be the same. But when you're drawing it in a perspective projection like this, it's correct. And as your vanishing points change into different positions for different effects for your sketch, those segments will be different. But these same principles can be applied over and over again for dividing up portions of your sketch into segments. Now, just to be complete, we're going to do the bottom using the green color. Same thing, drawing the X. Now we're being particular in this case and using the ruler tool to get a nice straight line, but you can do this freehand too. And quite often when you're just doing a concept sketch or an ideation sketch, you'll want to do this freehand. But until you get the principles down of what you're accomplishing here by getting those center points, like what we've circled here, you really want to probably use the tools, and the tools in your software will make it really handy to get nice straight controlled segments in these positions. Okay, so now what we're doing now is just completing that same segment on the bottom, putting the lines. So now we have, if you were to fill in those 4 squares we have on the bottom with the center points shown here, we'd have the beginnings of what could be a tile floor. And what you can continue to do as you make a sketch like this, you can continue to subdivide those segments. So if we were to add another layer here and just go in to, let's say, the side on the right with the blue lines, we could go in and subdivide the top left square even more. Let's just set that up now. So now what we're doing is using a thinner line. Now, one of the reasons we did use a thicker line, I'm going to go back to one here, is when you do that fill bucket, sometimes with a thin line it doesn't quite pick up the fact that the area is closed in, and so the paint bucket it's a bit sloppy. So just for the sake of the video, sometimes we'll use a thicker line than you would in your sketch. And I still got a little at the bottom there to fill in. Okay. So what we're trying to accomplish with the videos here at the Digital Drawing Academy, is that we want to focus a bit more on fundamentals on some of our videos. It's nice to see finished artwork a lot of the times, and the spectacular things you can achieve with digital drawing and digital art, but quite often for a person who's new to drawing, or new to drawing on a computer, or new to things like instead of observational drawing but drawing design objects or for perspective, some of these fundamental techniques are a little hard to figure out sometimes. So that's what we're trying to accomplish here. Hopefully you'll find this helpful, and if you do, please click to subscribe, and we'll be adding a lot more videos going forward here. So now what we've done in this one segment of the side of the cube here is that we've completed another division. So now if we were to do that all the way through, we'd have a lot more divisions in that segment, which could be, let's say this was going to be the start of a building. Those could represent windows or floors. and we're just labeling here 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, thanks again for tuning in, and we hope to have